And that has translated into, obviously, us taking a look at waste. And I think it was a realization 4 years ago of how much us as a restaurant, just the realization of us as a restaurant, how much, first of all, how much we drive consumption. We're asking people to come and consume. And how much waste we produce. The moment we looked at the numbers, just looking at the, not just from an overall level, from that moment, we never looked back. We thought this is something we have to really address and talk about. And it started with us understanding exactly what we produce in terms of waste.
Okay.
So we set up a very simple program, a separation program of everything that we produced. So what do we produce in terms of waste? Obviously, there's organic waste. That is after we produce our recipes, plus what is left from guests. There's obviously plastic, there's glass, there is cooking oil, there is cardboard and paper. So what we said, okay, let's look at them. Plastic is something huge. What do we produce in terms of plastic? We've never had plastic bottles here. We never use them. But we have, for example, things from the bar, like single-use straws, stirrers, cling film in the kitchen. So obviously we eliminated everything that we could. Cling film is still a tricky part because it's obviously something required from hygiene, right? So there are solutions. We're looking at them. We considered obviously bottling our own water because glass, what we discovered later on, was our biggest waste in terms of weight.
Really?
Yeah, glass.
Wow, okay.
We produce so much glass. But us realizing that had us start a conversation with our partners. We've never changed water suppliers, the guys from Aquapan and San Pellegrino, obviously the local supplier here, Bitfood. So we started having conversations saying, guys, can we talk about you picking up the glass bottles the moment they're empty? Why don't we pick them up? It's something that, people have done in the past successfully. Imagine if they do that. That will slash my glass waste by almost half. And mind you, I have no one to report on these numbers. We just track them internally.
Yes, for yourselves, yeah.
We set up the separation program. Mm-hmm. We assigned one of our senior members to be that waste officer to make sure that the guys are obviously separating correctly because, you tend to, fall into it. You're super busy. You have to take care of guests before you even, start looking at the waste. So separating correctly before it leaves the restaurant. That is weighed on a big scale, and then that's registered. Make sure that they register it accurately. Mm-hmm. And then, obviously, when they go downstairs to the basement to separate it, which is a big challenge because downstairs, the categories are not that huge in terms of separation. Okay, I've got a cage which is very typical in the city, a cage for cardboard and paper. I've got a tank for oil. We collect oil. But then everything else is just put together. So although we separate them, they all end up in the same.
Yeah.
We've seen and we've spoken already to the guys from BIA, from Sharjah, which we understand now are coming into DIFC to take care of the waste management. Okay. We've seen some extra separation containers downstairs, but there's still, I don't think anyone's keeping track. I've been taking a look at these. No one's separating correctly. They're being used by everyone in the building to put together everything.
Yeah.
So from the moment that we realized the waste that we produce, we started setting up these programs. Okay. And the challenge is, I tell you, the biggest challenge, you can come up with all sorts of ideas on how to, reuse or separate, but if it's not integrated into the SOP, into the service operation procedure for every single guy here, again, going back to the fact that the restaurant is like a factory, not a retail outlet, it's not going to be done. The guys are busy. Mind you, I have a restaurant to run. We have guests to serve, right? We have a lot of other problems to deal with on many levels before we even talking about waste. But it had to be integrated. And I must, again, obviously boils down to having a fabulous team and guys who are able to understand. And obviously, it didn't happen overnight. This is something that took a lot of talk, a lot of conversation, a lot of presentation. It was an absolute evolution. We never got to where we are right now and there's still a lot of work to be done.
Sure.
So just in encouraging that culture of reusing. So obviously any professional kitchen, any professional chef already knows how to maximize usage of the produce. They know what to do with the peels. They know what to do with the rest of the carcass of the fish or the animal before it's thrown away. But now they're given an extra incentive, and obviously to incentivize them is very important, to get creative in terms of what they can do and perhaps push that forward to the guest to see. Because a lot of it is in the background.
Of course, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The stocks and the broth, that's done in the background. No one really talks about the fact that it's done, but made by the bones of that, right?
Yeah,
no one talks about it because it's a given. But certain ways, certain techniques, so, having a new perspective, fresh view of things can maybe have that, give the people that talking point, and we can showcase what we really care about and what we spend our time doing.
Yeah.
For example, recently, last year, we introduced this dish. We wanted to bring in, to showcase more local vegetables.
Okay.
No matter how humble, we started talking about the beetroot. And it's something that is a passion of our Chef Matthias. He's Dutch, and he loves the beetroot. So we took like a local beetroot, and we aged it just like you would age a fine steak.
Okay, interesting.
We let it sit in a temperature and a humidity controlled fridge, and let it age and lose water content. So you have the flavors intensifying, and then use that in the dish. So that becomes the main ingredient rather than being the side ingredient.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and that's what we try to do with all of our dishes, all of our food, is to have, to think about it, to really think about it, to try to use what we have. Chef is also very aware, and again, a lot of chefs will do that, to make sure that your ingredients are used in multiple areas in your menu in a fresh and new way, not just putting it as another ingredient. The guys behind the bar are incentivized to do that as well. So now we have a lot of our syrups made with we squeeze juice every day. Every day, orange, lemon, cucumber, pineapple are squeezed fresh every morning.
Yeah.
They save the husks, they save the peels, they save the pulp, and they make syrups out of it.
Okay.
So you put it in a massive container, you throw sugar in it, cover it, leave it for a day, and then you squeeze out that syrup, you strain it, it becomes syrup that they will use in cocktails, right, afterwards. The pulp, so they would save up pulp of a pineapple, for example. They save up pulp of the pineapple, and then they will dehydrate it, and it becomes a candy that we'll use for garnish for the drink. Whatever garnish or peels that they use for cocktails in terms of slices of orange or lemon or orange peels or pineapple, they will save all of that if it doesn't go into operation for the day, dehydrate it, put it in a bag, and put it back into teas the next day.
Exactly.
So the bar is incentivized. Whatever cocktail they will create, whatever procedure they will make, they're incentivized to do it with whatever waste and become creative about it. We have this cocktail, the first cocktail that we created, we call it a no waste cocktail. It's basically it's cucumber and passion fruit. So they squeeze they blend the entire cucumber. They don't peel it, they don't chop the ends, and then strain it and save the pulp. Passion fruit, they scoop out the passion fruit and then save the shell. And then obviously they blend it with and then that becomes obviously the cocktail with the pulp of the cucumber. They dehydrate it, that becomes the garnish, and then the shell of the passion fruit, we crush it, and then we put it together into we glue it together. It becomes the coaster for the drink. Okay. So there you go. Nothing goes into the garbage, and obviously so on and so forth. Everything is the guys encouraged to use all of these elements into their operation. Yeah. We encourage also. We look at what we produce. So a lot of corks are lying around. So all of our mats for the paellas are made up of the corks. Yeah. Right. So we try as much, all the boxes that we receive, the crates, we use them for decoration. We give them away as gifts to our guests. They use them as pot, sort of for their soil, for pots, for, as shelves. So we try as much as possible to look at everything that comes into the restaurant. Supplier comes in the restaurant with plastic bags. So we tell the guys, please, we empty it, take it back. Or give it to us in these large crates that we can empty it and take it back. So it's continuously looking at the entire value chain, how we receive the produce until the moment that it ends at the guest's plate. What can we do in the process? What comes out? What is waste? What can we do without? How can we reduce it? That is just the constant now obsession of everyone in the restaurant.
And like you said, it's not just about maximizing what you can do with the product. In order to be doing the kind of things that you guys are doing now, all these different things in the restaurant to maximize, and to reduce the waste, there has to be, like you said, an incentive and a process in place for you to do that. It has to be very clear, but also fuels your creativity. For whoever's involved, maybe you could use this for that or that, so on. So it also empowers, I think, the employees to start thinking more collectively as well.
Now the guys have full ownership and they're proud when they come up with stuff like that. They're super proud of it, for sure. Whenever we have opportunities to do events, and we do a lot of those, with friends that we meet along the way, either suppliers of amazing products that we work with, or simply people who we share the same ideas and the same thoughts. So we always make sure that there is the element that is... So let's say we're doing a month celebrating everything that is coming from Rioja in Spain. So there's a certain cuisine. We make sure that we're using as much local ingredients first and foremost. If we can replace it, then we can do it. We'll do it. So to showcase that. Although the theme probably has nothing to do with that, but we make sure that we're highlighting whatever local.
And so I love what you said about the sustainability, about it being homegrown and using local suppliers, going to those kind of fish markets and so on, and really utilizing what you have instead of needing to import from outside, and really giving back to kind of what is helping the restaurant be successful, the community that is helping you be successful.